All right. Hello. Welcome to the live stream Tips for Confident Norwegian. It looks like I'm live. Yeah, everything's working. It looks like that. Welcome, welcome. Today we'll be discussing the topic of shyness in speaking Norwegian, even in learning Norwegian, but we will focus a bit more on the performance side of actual speaking. But it doesn't really matter. It's the same principle in all these stages. So we'll dive a little deeper on what shyness could be understood as. Of course, I don't have the ultimate answer to this question, but we're going to talk a little bit about what people mean when they say that somebody or themselves are shy. And we'll talk about the problems of framing it that way because it has a number of disadvantages. And this is not true or untrue. It's not true or untrue that you are shy, right? It's something very subjective. It's a very subjective evaluation of yourself or of another, and it's not necessarily very useful. So we will have a look at it, why this might be a problem, and we will look at some useful reframes that can help you progress better in your Norwegian, feel better about yourself, and have better results. All right, before we dive into shyness, I want to say you must have noticed by now, because I'm all over the place with it, that I'll be running a series of free masterclasses, 3 free masterclasses. I will run all of them live, and we'll be starting on the 30th of January. Then the second one will be on the 3rd of February, and the last one on the 6th of February. So 3 masterclasses with a little bit of spacing in between, so that everybody has time to digest or to get back to the recording, to ask any questions. We'll also be gathered in a private group, and I'll have some follow-up program for you and some supportive live streams, and it's going to be really good. I've run this masterclass before, I've run the training before, and now I've updated it and transformed the format so that I can run all of the content live, so that you can ask questions and really interact with me. So I'm looking forward to that. If you haven't signed up yet, do that. The link is somewhere in the description of this event. I will also put it in the comments when I'm done here in case it's not there. And yeah, like I was saying, it's for free. And the point why I'm saying it in this live stream is that since you're here to listen to me about shyness, then I'm gathering that your issue with learning or speaking Norwegian might not be a technical one, but maybe rather something based on a block or on some kind of emotional or mental challenges. And the masterclasses will really be tackling that. We'll be looking at technical stuff as well. We'll be looking at techniques, but we'll be looking into the psychological stuff as well. And that's very, very important. That's what makes people spin in circles for years and hate it, right? And if you tackle that, then suddenly you release so much energy for actually doing the technical thing. So I'm really inviting you, jump in. It's all for free, and we're starting on the 30th. All right, that was the invitation. And now shyness. Like I was saying, it's not the most useful thing of things to call yourself shy. And why is that? There are a number of reasons. The first one is the connotation that the word has. Yeah, so if somebody tells you that you are shy, that's not a positive evaluation of you, of your social skills, is it? So we kind of connect the word shy with things like anxiety or timidity, fearfulness, maybe awkwardness. And it's not something you want to be called, right? Or considering yourself to be. It is utterly negative. It's not neutral. It is not neutral. And telling yourself that you are shy, knowing or like perceiving this connotation that there is out there, nobody calls anybody shy to flatter them. It's just not the case. So if you call yourself shy, knowing all this or kind of having all of this in your subconscious, then ultimately you're telling yourself that you're not good enough, right? That's what it is. It's just like telling yourself you are too shy to speak is telling yourself you're not good enough in another drag. And like I talk about often, this is not useful, because if you're telling yourself that you're not good enough, this generates a lot of, say, frustration. It generates shame, which is not a good one for success in learning anything. It generates feelings of inadequacy, all of these negative emotions that lower your belief in your own abilities. And on the other hand, of course, also raise the affective filter in learning languages. And if you want to hear more about the affective filter or ask about it, do that. I talk about it all the time, so I'll skip it here for now. But in general, also, if you have any questions, please write under the live stream. I will see it. I can tackle the questions at the end of the live stream, so I can answer you live. So I invite you to write any comments or any questions under the live streams anywhere you're watching. I should see all of them if all the technicalities are working. So yeah, the affective filter is up, your self-esteem is down, and that's the worst possible combination, of course, for learning a language. You want the affective filter down so that you are free to think and to take in, and you want your self-esteem and kind of the belief in yourself as a language learner, you want that up, because that's what makes it possible for you to take the right choices, right? So that's the first thing. Another thing is that most people who get labeled as shy, I'm not saying who are shy, because this is utterly subjective, like who is shy even, what is it? But people who get labeled as such, most of them are highly sensitive people. And I picked this topic, it actually comes from the book on high sensitivity that I was mentioning in one of my past live streams. I decided to lift this topic again because I got a lot of positive feedback on the live stream about high sensitivity, that this might be one of the things that are generating overwhelm for you in language learning, and you think it's the Norwegian, when it might just be the high sensitivity if you know you have that trait, which is very useful in many areas of your life, but not when it comes to overwhelm. You get overwhelmed more easily. Then you know that you have to be tackling it from another side rather than from the technical side of the language learning, right? And so when I released this live stream, I got lots of positive comments on it and like feedback. Let's say people told me that like this really resonated with me. It was very important that I came to think about it in that way. You can catch that live stream on both LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook. It's still there. But I was talking about this book. I have it with me this time. The Highly Sensitive Person by Dr. Elaine Aron. That's where I get my information from on high sensitivity, from other places as well, of course. But this book is the go-to on this topic. And she says that when people tell you you are shy and you don't know you are highly sensitive, you will take it as like, I'm not good enough, right? That's what it means to people. Oh, you're so shy, you shouldn't talk to them, you're the shy one. Or like, I'm not gonna talk to them because I'm shy, I can't make it, I can't ever make it because I'm a shy person. What she says is very interesting. Most people who get labeled as shy are actually highly sensitive, and high sensitivity predisposes you to take in more sensoric input. You notice more than a person who is not highly sensitive. And this is not a disease or a disorder, by the way, right? Even though society sometimes looks at it that way, high sensitivity is a genetic trait that's present in around 15 to 20% of the population. So it's not like it's a disorder. It doesn't, like, it didn't get like evolution didn't get rid of it, right? So it's useful. And it like, I have the trait myself. I know it's very useful for me in my work. But on the other hand, I get easily overwhelmed. So I know very well what I'm talking about. And when I read this book, I read it with my experience on the background, and makes a lot of sense to me. And now back to the language learning. Yeah, if we think of the person who struggles to speak Norwegian or to apply their knowledge, or even the struggles in the learning process, as in if you are quote unquote shy, you will struggle more to believe in yourself and to be like, I'm gonna do this, and I have this belief that I'll pull through it, it will work. When it doesn't work on the first, second, third try, you're like, yeah, that's because I can't do it. I'm not the kind of person, you know? So you get more susceptibility maybe to that, maybe not, maybe yes. Yeah. And if you keep saying you're shy, meaning not good enough, and you might not know that actually you're highly sensitive, then you're looking at the wrong thing, because you connect it to your identity. I'm shy, that's who I am, I can't change it. When on the other hand, you could be saying like, okay, I am highly sensitive, meaning I am able, and also like I can like choose that away, as we say in Norwegian. I can't not notice more than a regular person would, meaning things are going to overwhelm me more, and you notice more maybe in with your hearing, maybe with your eyes, you can get sensorically overwhelmed in that way. And also on the social level, these social energies that are in the air, and sometimes these are also imagined, that we generate these from the inside, but both types you are more sensitive towards, so it's much easier for you to get overwhelmed. But it's very important to consider that, because shy is like, boom, that's my label, that's who I am. Yeah, she is stupid, he is rich, and I am shy, that's who we are. Now it's not like that, right? It's maybe just lacking skills, and maybe it's just the reframe, as in, this is not who I am. Who I am is, I have high sensitivity, so I am more sensitive, and kind of more, I perceive more than a regular person at any given point. All right, but I can work with that, I can accommodate for that, right? If I'm shy, meaning stupid, quote unquote, right, the way the word sometimes gets used, then there is no help for me, right? So this is very, very important, to get rid of the negative connotation and to swap for something neutral, which is more accurate as well. Now, the second reason why it's not such a good idea to hold on to the label shy, like, I can't do this because I'm shy, I struggle because I'm a shy person, is that, of course, these labels are self-fulfilling. Positive labels are also self-fulfilling, but that's not such a big problem, because we want the positivity and the good results, right? So if you believe you're a good language learner, even if it's not completely accurate, but what is completely accurate, right? Then it will be self-fulfilling as well, right? But you want that, so that's not a problem. But if this happens with a negative label, such as shy, it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy very quickly as well. And Dr. Aaron, in the book, she gives an example of an experiment that was run way back in the day. And the experiment went along these lines, that they took two groups of women. Some of them identified as shy, like self-identified. Some of them identified as not shy. And they put them in a room with a guy who was part of the experiment, and they were supposed to talk about something. And in the control group, they just kept it like that. And then in the intervention group, what they did was that they put in some kind of noises, and they explained to the women, sensitive and not, like those who self-identified as shy and not, but like the shyness typically points to high sensitivity as well. They explained to them that there is some background noise in the room, and that it's pretty typical that people get overwhelmed and like over aroused, sensorically over aroused by that noise, but they can't take it away because something got broken. But like, relax, it's okay. And now, the women who self-identified as shy up front, who were alone with that guy in the room and were supposed to lead some kind of small talk, and who said that they had struggles with these kind of situations, that they feared it, and that they would not be able to say anything, and so on, they got a little over aroused, right, by the situation, but they thought it was because of the noises, and they conversed like crazy, right? So I don't remember the exact results, But the point is, in the control group, the shy women were like, they were stunned, they went red, they couldn't talk to the guy, right? As they had expected. The shy women who were in the very same situation that they had described as very difficult for them, when they were there and they believed that the over-arousal was due to the background noise, as the researchers had explained, they did well, and like they didn't have any problem or much less problem talking to the guy as they would have normally. And this is mind-blowing, in my opinion, that the reframe you put in there, the reasoning, how you explain to yourself why this is happening, is going to influence your results that much. Yeah. So these women who said they couldn't do that kind of stuff, they did it just fine, because they kind of knew that they would get sensorically over aroused because there was this noise, right? And what this means for us, right? I think the thing that's the most important, like, you cannot make yourself believe that is because of some kind of noise, because there might not be any. But you know that because this might be due to high sensitivity, most people who get labeled as shy have high sensitivity in the background, right? It might be because you are overly sensorically or emotionally aroused or overwhelmed. Anyhow, it's not like it doesn't have to do directly with speaking Norwegian. And it's a bit of a mindfuck, right? But you want that, because the thing that you've been telling yourself, as in like, I cannot make this conversation, I cannot approach my colleagues in the kitchenette and just like drop something in Norwegian, just like very short. I can't do it because I'm too shy to do that. You tell yourself that, then you don't do it, then that reinforces your belief that this was true, right? And it kind of is true on some level, because the reality matches it, right? And that's how we measure that something is true. But if you make yourself believe something different, it will also be true, right? So like here we kind of arrive at the relativity of truth, yeah? But when it comes to these things, the truth really is relative. The truth will become what you believe. And it's the same for me. I have kind of changed the perception of myself in some areas, and it really helps me to do better and to not get so overwhelmed, and to actually go and do it. And then maybe even without sweating with fear, right? After some time. Not the first try, of course, but you can just tell yourself, all right, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Don't tell yourself, I'm so shy, I can't do this, I have so much fear. Tell yourself the more accurate thing that you could measure. I think I'm getting a bit sensorically over-aroused here. I think I'm getting a bit overwhelmed here. And these are more neutral descriptions. And also, what's very important, what I was writing in the invitation, I am shy is an identity. And you don't want to be putting negative identities on yourself, right? On the other hand, I am getting overly sensorically aroused is a description of a process that's happening. And you can intervene with a process, right? That's much more easily done. It's very hard to intervene with what you believe is your identity on the spot, right? But if you believe this is a process, this might generate a little bit of space for you in that situation to put your foot down and to intervene just a little bit at a time, right? It's not like you flip the switch and now I'm not shy anymore. It's not like that. But just tell yourself the truth, right? The new truth, the more accurate description of the situation. I'm getting overly aroused. I'm getting overwhelmed. All right. And then you can think, why am I getting overwhelmed? And of course, the answer is not because I am shy and I get overwhelmed. No, the answer is going to be something a bit more analytic, right? And you might discover when you dive into it and be a descriptivist rather than I'm shy, I'm stupid, la 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 la, right? If you really look at it, and with practice you will get better at this, in that moment when you stop, you might be like, actually, I haven't eaten yet this day, and I think my blood sugar is a bit low. because I feel a bit grumpy as well, and on top of overwhelmed. The air in this room is really bad. There are a bit too many people for me to feel comfortable. And suddenly you're like, so there are different factors. Some of them you might intervene with, you might eat a little bit and then try, right? Because you see, like, okay, this is contributing to my overwhelm and to my kind of sensoric over arousal, because there are too many signals coming in from different sides and different places from the inside as well, yeah, like hunger, or if you're too warm, too cold, that's coming from the inside. And it sounds stupid, but it is contributing, especially if you're highly sensitive, right? And you notice all of these things much more. And then maybe you can drop the Norwegian bomb, right? And you don't have to talk too much. It just, in the initial phase, when you just want to break the ice and change your identity as somebody who cannot speak to somebody who can speak, you don't have to like do the whole conversation in Norwegian. Just like say the phrases, say like hvordan går det, or like smaker det godt, whatever it, whatever it might be, just the little stuff. And then you're like, I did it. Check in. How do I feel? I'm getting red. Okay. It's not because I'm shy. It's because I'm getting overwhelmed. And this might be because I'm doing something that's contrary to what my identity has been. So of course, this is going to generate discomfort because it's out of my comfort zone. So you can talk yourself through it in that way. I have the experience that explaining things like that to yourself helps a lot to people who have studied a lot or who are used to thinking a lot. It certainly helps me a lot. This is how I get along with my problems. I look at them more analytically and I try to explain what's really happening, not like what shouldn't be happening, I'm stupid and so on. None of that, because it's not true either. It's not accurate, right? There might be something to it, but it's not an accurate description of what's happening. So reframe like this, right? Get in that split second of space that you have gained by stopping and saying like, no, this is not because I'm shy. This is because something is happening. And you're more prone to things being happening when you're highly sensitive, of course, because there is more sensoric load on you at all times. But it's a process. It's not, like this overwhelm is not who you are. It's a process. All right. Dr. Aaron reframes this as social discomfort, shyness in general, as social discomfort. I have the experience that even people who would not describe themselves as that shy with other areas of their life might struggle with Norwegian, and they say like, I'm too shy to speak Norwegian, but they're not too shy to speak English. To me, that's another piece of evidence that this is actually not even social discomfort. This is some kind of discomfort with Norwegian. So, but I think it also clashes with the identity there, because shyness is a kind of identity, and I'm not able to speak Norwegian is an identity as well, especially if you've been saying that about yourself for a long time, or if somebody said about you as a kid at school that you are not good at languages or something like that. So the clash with the identity, that's the difficult bit, when you might get very easily overwhelmed by that. Yeah. All right. Now, how you should handle it. I've said something already. How I handle this stuff, I'm like, I don't see myself as shy. I never have. People have said about me that I talk too much, just the opposite. But I have been looking at myself as unable to do ABC, different kind of things, right? And how I try to intervene with this, to handle it in that moment when you start spinning in it, is, and what also Dr. Aaron recommends, is number one, acknowledge that it's happening, right? Be like, oh, I am getting overwhelmed. I am getting over aroused by emotions, by some kind of sensoric input, or even I have the experience that things that play a lot on, maybe on your trauma, or if you have anything like that in your history, maybe on some kind of bad experiences that you wouldn't call like small t trauma, but still it's like something unpleasant, something that makes you feel ashamed, whatever, these emotional things. If it's something that plays on that, people might get even dysregulated, and mental dysregulation is like a higher state that kind of is sourced from over arousal, right, or overwhelm. And Dr. Aaron doesn't talk about dysregulation as such, but if you're interested in that, if you feel that sometimes you do get dysregulated, and many people do get dysregulated by having to speak Norwegian or even by studying. I've had students who got heavily dysregulated at that level by, for example, having to talk about grammar. When I said something like a noun or a verb, or say like syntax, right? Things like that. They really did get dysregulated, and they couldn't keep eye contact. They started to panic internally. So if it's this level, it might be dysregulation as well, emotional or mental dysregulation. And to learn more about that, I do recommend the YouTube channel that's called Crappy Childhood Fairy, run by the brilliant Anna Ranko. It's a good one. So again, and she recommends this technique. When you feel that it's coming, first remedy, stop and be like, I am getting dysregulated. Not like I'm the most useless person in the world, I'm so shy, I can't do this. No, these are identity-based labels, and they will never help you speak Norwegian, right? That they are the reason why you are stuck. And it's not like you are the reason. These labels are the reason. These beliefs and views are the reason why you are stuck and maybe unable to take the right choice, right? But if you stop and say, I am getting dysregulated, or following Elaine Aron's advice, like, I am getting over aroused, I am overwhelmed, name it. Name the process, name the thing that's happening. Don't name yourself, name the process. And then also think that you are the one who notices this the most. Number one, because it's happening to you. Number two, because you still might have this negative kind of shameful connotation attached to it, as in like, I'm the most useless person in the world when this is happening to me, right? Number three, because most probably you are the highly sensitive one in the room. So other people notice less than you do by definition, right? So at least three reasons why you are the one who notices your own dysregulation the most. Other people notice it when you spill the coffee, right? But if you manage to not spill the coffee, nobody else might notice, just you. And that's a good one to know as well. People sometimes notice this, but we always notice many times more, and we're like, it was horrible, it was like so embarrassing. And other people are like, I just thought you just stumbled on your tongue, that was it. Or some people notice something, some people notice nothing at all, and you're like, how could you not notice, right? And some people just don't notice, because if you are an HSP, you notice so much more, and especially these feeling-based things. So good to know, and good to remind yourself in that moment, like, okay, number one, I am dysregulated, I am getting overwhelmed, there is too much sensoric input, there is too much emotional input, I am getting over aroused by all this. Okay, physiological processes, right? Number two, I'm the one noticing the most. Nobody else in the room notices as much as me of all of this. Maybe they don't notice anything at all. Now, number three, if you have space in that situation, mitigate the overwhelm. Don't mitigate like shyness or anything technical, because shyness is your identity. You can't mitigate your identity like that on the spot when you're dealing with other stuff like overwhelm. But you can be mitigating the overwhelm, because that's technical, that's physiological. So one thing that many people recommend, and it's true, is just breath work. And there are so many techniques for breath work, and I'm sure that you've heard all of them. What people recommend the most and what works for me is make your in breath shorter than your out breath, or like the out breath longer than the in breath, because that calms down your vagus nerve, right? So this is very physiological, because when you get aroused, you get shallow breathing. So by deepening your breathing, you're physiologically telling your system that, like, this is safe, this is safe, this is safe, right? And notice that if you think that this is your identity and it's unchangeable and it's who you are, you don't have access to this, because like some breathing would help me because I'm just shy. If you reframe it as, I am over aroused, I am overwhelmed, I'm getting dysregulated, then you know that dysregulation is a physiological process in your brain, and sensoric over arousal is physiological. But you can kind of you can grab into it, with how you frame it and how you breathe, because that again is physiological, and you can tell your system. Yeah. So maybe in for 3, keep for 4, out for 5, something like that. I heard that advice just yesterday, but it's one of the many, right? Just make your out breath long, and that will calm you down a little bit. Another one that I love to use is noticing where your feet are. So maybe you're standing on just on one part of the one foot. I do that a lot. No. This is not grounding you at all. Stand on both feet and notice that. And by noticing your feet on the ground, you take a lot of the awareness from the situation and on your feet. And that's good for you, because you don't want to be spinning in the circle, right? So that's another one. Or maybe it's too much. You're like, okay, I'm getting dysregulated. I can't actually handle this right now. I'm going to leave now. Okay. So you might leave. You might maybe go to the toilet, and you might put some cold water on your wrists. It helps a lot. And again, or even warm water, right? Or maybe cold water in your face, or whatever like that. And again, this is something sensoric, and it's going to break the cycle, right? It's going to give you some other input. I have heard that even hot and cold treatment works for headaches for some people, because it short circuits the things that are happening, right? And this is similar. Like, it's not gonna solve your life's problems, but it's going to give you an edge, and there you can intervene. Or maybe when you have put some cold or hot water on your wrists, you then will be able to do a minute of breath work. Because sometimes when we are too dysregulated on the spot, it's not like you can breathe in, because you're like, and you can't take another breath in. It's not possible. For me, it helps either to breathe out first, go like, okay. And then when I have taken the breath out, I'm describing the situation in that minute. I'm like, I'm getting dysregulated. This is overwhelm. How am I going to solve the overwhelm? What can I do? Maybe I have to eat a little bit. Maybe I have to take a drink. And by the way, taking a drink as well is a good one, because as you're drinking and focusing on it, is it cold? Is it warm? You're taking away the awareness, right? Focusing on something sensoric, but something else. So this is a good hack as well. Like, consciously drink a little bit and be like, okay. And when you have taken the breath out, maybe then you can take the quicker breath in and then the long out. Maybe it will make it possible for you if you breathe out first, or if you put the hot water or cold water on your wrists, and it throws you out of the circle, and then you can do the breath work, and then you can do the mental reframing, right? But the most important part of all of this is, don't say I am shy and that's who I am and it's because I'm stupid, right? Because it's self-fulfilling, because it's negative, because it's inefficient, it doesn't help you, and it's inaccurate as well, right? So focus on the process, describe it, and mitigate the process. Don't mitigate your identity. Your identity will follow. It will shift, by the reframing. But it's not like you are standing in that situation trying to speak Norwegian and you're like, I'm not shy. That doesn't work, right? But your identity will follow. And these identity shifts are necessary for actually becoming an efficient language learner. And we'll be talking a lot about that as well, about different aspects of this in the free series of masterclasses. So do register if you haven't already. Starting on the 30th of January, registration is open now. So you're very, very welcome. Come for that. All right. Do you guys have any questions? I see a number of you are watching live. If you have any questions or comments, I have a few minutes to answer them. So if you want, write under the live stream, or just say hello, tell me where you are watching from. Or if you want to ask about anything, please do. Yeah, and I will answer it. All right. And to give you a minute to write, if you want to, I just want to mention something I forgot to mention, because with the reframing, yeah, Dr. Aaron gives a very good example, because this thing with shyness, we take it so personally, we feel that like it's our personality flaw or something like that. But if we have a look at something that actually is quite parallel to that, but is more neutral in our perception, then we see much better what she's talking about. And she uses the example of being cold, which I love because I'm always cold. Maybe I have low blood pressure or something, but like my hands and my feet are always cold. I offer sweaters to my kids all the time, and my son says like, "Mamma, det är bara dig som alltid är kall." Like it's only you who is always cold. Yeah, he tells me in Norwegian, and I'm like, yeah, you might be right. I'm the one who's cold. Nobody else is cold but me. And again, this is something that probably is partially genetic, or it's not connected to your personality. In any case, we understand that it's some kind of physiological process that you get easily cold, and I get very easily cold. And if you notice that you are cold, right, you would not say like, I'm such a cold person, like, this is just me, it's so stupid. No, you wouldn't do that. You would see it as a process, like, I'm getting cold, there is something happening in my body, probably relating to like blood circulation, or like how your fat tissue works, right? And you'll be looking for solutions to the process, to the getting cold, not like fixing your identity as somebody who gets cold too easily. Like, I just get cold easily. If you're highly sensitive, you get overwhelmed more easily. Fair enough. And high sensitivity is useful for something. It's useful for many more things than always getting cold, by the way, right? I use high sensitivity in my work every single day. I haven't yet seen a situation when getting cold too early would be useful at all. But the thing when we get too overwhelmed too easily, or we feel shy or something like that, we see that as a flaw, versus like, okay, she always gets cold. It's not practical, but like, it's not her fault or anything. It's just neutral, right? And if I notice I'm getting cold, I have some options. So I can leave from there. I can put on an extra sweater. I can do some exercises to keep myself warmer, right? I can drink something hot. Like, I can intervene to actually get warmer. And if I notice I'm feeling quote unquote shy to speak, or I'm not like I'm feeling shy, that's even not the right formulation. Probably I should say like, I'm noticing symptoms of shyness, right, rather than that. Then what do I do? And mostly we just call ourselves not enough because we are so shy and connected to the identity, which we would never do with becoming cold. I mean, it's a bit of my identity. I tell everybody all the time, right? But it's not like I feel that it's my fault that I just get cold, right? And when you get shy, it's like, oh, it's my fault, I'm such a terrible person, right? No, focus on the process and intervene on that level. Yeah. And at the beginning, you'll be able to intervene a little bit, later on, more, right? Okay, that's that. Then I'll call it a day for today. I think I've said everything. If you come up with any other questions, then definitely let me know under the videos. I'll be able to see the comments even after the live stream, so I can reply to you. And also, one of my students put an idea in my head that I wanted to ask you guys about. They were asking me about, like, if I wanted to do a live stream about burnout in learning Norwegian. And I think this is a very useful topic, but I don't have experience with it with any of my students, like reaching the point of actual burnout. But I would like to invite you, if you feel like you have, or if you know people who have, and you would like to talk to me about it, do drop me a note, because I'm very interested to learn more about this topic, so that maybe I can put together some useful content about it in the future when I have learned more. So that's an invitation. If you want to share, or if you know anybody who would like to, do let me know or take contact. We can talk a little bit about that. So, and I can also try and help you as much as I can as part of that conversation. All right, that was it for today. Thanks for watching, live or from the recording. Do leave me any questions if you have, and I'll see you next time for another episode of Tips for Confident Norwegian. And also on the 30th of January for the series of free masterclasses, Master Norwegian Fast. All right, have a nice day and the rest of your week. Bye bye. Ha det fint.